What if the biggest problem for Supergirl isn't what happened at the box office, but what's happening after its theatrical run? With the film now disappearing from thousands of theaters, Warner Brothers shifting its focus to a July 28th digital release, and James Gunn, Millie Alcock, and the creative team continuing to defend the movie at every public appearance, the controversy surrounding Supergirl is only getting bigger. Now, a brand new incident involving Millie Alcock at a promotional event is fueling even more debate online, while reports suggest Warner Brothers may already be changing its strategy for future DC projects. So, is the digital release really going to save this movie? Or is it simply the next chapter in a much bigger problem for DC Studios? Before we break it all down, if you're new to SubiiVerse, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because we cover the biggest Hollywood controversies, DC updates, Disney news, and entertainment stories every single day. Welcome back, everyone. As we get closer to Supergirl's digital release on July 28th, Warner Brothers continues pushing the movie through interviews, fan events, and promotional appearances. But instead of shifting the conversation in a positive direction, the studio keeps finding itself facing fresh criticism. After a disappointing theatrical run, Supergirl has now reached one of its lowest points at the domestic box office. The film has exited more than 3,000 theaters, an unusually rapid decline considering it has only been in cinemas for a little over a month. For many observers, that's become another sign of how quickly audience interest faded after release. Despite that, the studio isn't slowing down its promotional campaign. James Gunn, lead actress Millie Alcock, screenwriter Anna Nogueira, and Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav have all continued defending the project while encouraging audiences to support the upcoming digital launch. According to their public comments, they don't believe the movie should be judged solely by its theatrical performance. Instead, they argue that digital sales, rentals, and eventually streaming could dramatically change the film's overall story. However, not everyone is convinced. Many critics remain skeptical that a digital release alone can completely reverse months of disappointing box office numbers, especially after the mixed audience response and the ongoing backlash that has surrounded the movie since opening weekend. But that's where the story takes another turn. One of the biggest talking points now involves Millie Alcock, who has continued addressing the criticism directed toward both the movie and the people involved in making it. During a recent promotional appearance, Alcock once again discussed what she described as the sexist and misogynistic comments that she, James Gunn, and writer Anna Nogueira have faced throughout the film's release. According to her, she expected criticism long before the movie premiered. She said the team understood there would be loud voices online attacking the project, but she remains confident that once Supergirl reaches digital platforms and eventually streaming services, a much larger audience will finally have the opportunity to judge the movie for themselves. Alcock also argued that the current online conversation is being driven by a vocal minority and expressed confidence that digital audiences would eventually prove many of those critics wrong. She emphasized that neither she nor James Gunn believes the film is a failure and suggested that digital distribution could ultimately give Supergirl a second chance to find its audience. But what happened next quickly became the biggest headline from the event. Shortly after making those remarks, reports claimed that a noticeable portion of the audience began booing during the event. According to those reports, the reaction lasted for well over a minute, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere inside the venue. Witnesses described Alcock as appearing visibly uncomfortable before eventually leaving the stage alongside security personnel. As the situation unfolded, James Gunn and Anna Nogueira reportedly stepped in to continue the event while the focus shifted away from the disruption. Whether that reaction reflected the feelings of the broader fan base or simply a vocal group in attendance has become another topic of debate online. And that wasn't the only report attracting attention. Additional claims now suggest that Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav is reevaluating the promotional campaign surrounding Supergirl's digital release. According to those reports, concerns have grown that continuing an aggressive marketing push may generate more controversy than positive attention, potentially increasing costs without delivering meaningful results. Witnesses described Alcock as appearing visibly uncomfortable before eventually leaving the stage alongside security personnel. As the situation unfolded, James Gunn and Anna Nogueira reportedly stepped in to continue the event while the focus shifted away from the disruption. Whether that reaction reflected the feelings of the broader fan base or simply a vocal group in attendance has become another topic of debate online. And that wasn't the only report attracting attention. Additional claims now suggest that Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav is reevaluating the promotional campaign surrounding Supergirl's digital release. According to those reports, concerns have grown that continuing an aggressive marketing push may generate more controversy than positive attention, potentially increasing costs without delivering meaningful results. If accurate, that would represent another significant shift in strategy as Warner Brothers looks to move beyond one of the studio's most difficult releases in recent memory. It also comes shortly after another reported incident involving James Gunn himself, where he allegedly faced a negative audience reaction during a separate promotional appearance connected to the movie. Now here's where the conversation becomes even more complicated. Supporters of the film argue that much of the criticism has crossed the line into personal attacks aimed at the cast and filmmakers. Others, however, maintain that their concerns have always centered on the movie itself, its story, creative direction, character development, and overall execution. For those critics, repeatedly focusing on sexism or misogyny doesn't address the larger questions many fans continue asking about the film's quality. That's why this debate has remained so heated. Instead of discussing only the movie, the conversation has expanded into broader arguments about fan culture, criticism, and how studios respond when major releases fail to meet expectations. But there may be an even bigger issue developing behind the scenes. Reports also suggest Warner Brothers is considering significant budget adjustments for future DC projects. One claim indicates that the marketing budget for Man of Tomorrow could reportedly be reduced by as much as 30% as executives look for ways to control spending following recent financial disappointments. Although those reports remain part of ongoing industry speculation, they have fueled even more discussion about the long-term direction of DC Studios. Meanwhile, additional reports claim that Millie Alcock may no longer participate in future promotional appearances connected to Supergirl's digital campaign following the reaction she reportedly received at the recent event. And now, everything comes down to July 28th. The digital release could become the biggest test yet for this movie. If digital rentals and purchases perform strongly, Warner Brothers may point to those numbers as evidence that the film found a larger audience outside theaters. But if demand remains weak, critics will almost certainly argue that it confirms the lack of audience interest extended far beyond the theatrical run. It's also worth remembering that digital movies aren't cheap. Premium rentals and purchases often cost a significant amount, and studios increasingly rely on those sales to recover revenue after a film leaves theaters much earlier than it once would have. That makes this next phase incredibly important, not just for Supergirl, but for how Warner Brothers evaluates future DC releases moving forward. Right now, the movie's theatrical run is winding down, the digital launch is just days away, and the debate surrounding the film appears far from over. Over the next few weeks, all eyes will be on the digital numbers to see whether Supergirl can attract a larger audience or if the disappointing box office performance was only the beginning of a much bigger problem for DC Studios. We'll be following every major update, every new report, and every development as this story continues to unfold. So there's definitely a lot more to talk about in the days ahead. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Supergirl has a real chance to perform better on digital? Or do you believe its theatrical reception already tells the full story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to SubiiVerse, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Hollywood and DC updates. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch all of you in the next one.